been about 20 years since the first time we watched Jeff Hardy pull some wild stunt off a ladder, or wild spill through a table, or both, and thought he's not going to have a very long career. And yet, in 2019, the ever-daring Jeff Hardy is still going after more than a quarter century, while most of us are calling in sick with fingernail soreness or possibly sprained eyelashes. Jeff Hardy's unique and distinguished career has been just like him, unique and distinguished. Fans since the Attitude Era have watched Hardy go from innocuous and understated high flyer to preeminent and influential daredevil, as well as eccentric and boundless artist, cementing a legacy in professional wrestling that few have the combined imagination and ability to equal. We here at Cultaholic salute the man whose sky-high swanton bombs and creative employment of furniture have assured him an enduring legacy as one of pro wrestling's most unforgettable performers. Brother Nero, we knew we'd get to you sooner or later. I'm Sam from Cultaholic.com, and here are 10 things you didn't know about Jeff Hardy. Join us! Number 10. Winning role models. Jeff's exploits as a backyard wrestler have been long documented. Both he and his brother turned their shared learning experience on the backyard trampoline into lucrative careers that are closing swiftly in on 30 years. Which really does fly in the face of the whole "don't try this at home" series of PSAs that WWE is obligated to air. But Jeff, just like every fan, was motivated by more than just the moves and the very idea of wrestling. He also had idols. In a 2007 interview with IGN, Hardy revealed that in his youth he was first enamored by Sting and the Ultimate Warrior, claiming to be transfixed by the coolness of the former and the craziness of the latter. He then later looked up to the show-stealing capabilities of Shawn Michaels, a man he would both team with and wrestle over the final years of HBK's career. And when one looks at how Jeff Hardy turned out in the business, the influence of all three can be clearly seen. Number 9. Know your roles. The backyard wrestling dream for both Hardys manifested into a wrestling promotion called Omega, which stands for the Organization of Modern Extreme Grappling Arts. Founded in 1997, future stars including Shane Helms, Steve Corino, Shannon Moore, Joey Mercury, and others all passed through the Carolina-based project. And that's not to ignore Jeff and Matt themselves. The two founded the promotion and certainly wrestled for the outfit, but not just as themselves. And in Jeff Hardy's case, he wrestled as multiple characters at Omega events, all within a solitary show. You might see the familiar-looking Will-O-the-Wisp wrestle on the same card as Daredevil next door Jeff Hardy himself, or maybe Willow will occupy the same card as a grappler named Wolverine. Jeff also created other characters for himself in this time frame called Iceman and Mean Jimmy Jack Tompkins, and he would perform as each. Some might call this a well-harnessed form of schizophrenia, but as long as they don't all come together as the Beast in the movie Split, I think we're pretty safe. Number 8. Teenage Dream. Not too many wrestlers can say they went from being enhancement talent on classic WWE programming to eventual WWE champion, but Jeff bucks that trend. His time as a jobber in the mid to late 90s is well known, and athletic Jeff was ideal for the part, taking wicked bumps off the powerful strikes and throws doled out by the pushed wrestlers. As history has it, Hardy's first WWE match came at a Raw taping on May 23, 1994 against Razor Ramon. What makes the match unique is that Hardy was only 16 years old at the time of the match. He traveled to the event with regular enhancement talent Gary Sabar and ended up filling in for a wrestler called Keith Davis, who backed out of the booking at the last minute. Hardy told the agents that he was 18 and he was able to take Davis's place against Ramon. Curiously, Hardy was billed under the name Keith Davis for the match, presumably because they'd already built the name slate assets for the show, and he put Ramon over in a spirited squash. But more than a decade later, Hardy defeated Scott Hall at TNA's Final Resolution in 2005, because life is just weird like that. Number 7. Get in the game. If you played the original WWE SmackDown for PS1, you know 3 things. Throwing a guy into a vending machine gets you free soda, wrestling games are better with raucous background music instead of lifeless commentary, and the Hardy Boys made their video game debut on that particular game. Back in their days of wrestling in tan cargo pants and working with hair in their eyes, the Hardys became playable characters on a WWE game for the first time ever. But that wasn't their first foray into a licensed WWE video game. Before Jeff and brother Matt got their first sustained push, the siblings did motion capture work for 2 prior major platform WWE releases. They were Warzone in 1998, which was my first wrestling game, and Attitude the following year. Despite not being playable characters in either game, Jeff and Matt donned the ball-covered bodysuits and took every single bump, threw every strike, and did every taunt you saw in either of those games. And given how the characters awkwardly move around on both games, let's just hope that that was creative license from Acclaim, and not merely Jeff and Matt refusing to bend their joints while they walked. Number 6. First time for everything. For many, the highlight of WrestleMania 33 in Orlando came when the Hardy Boys, less than a day after working a ladder match for Ring of Honor against the Young Bucks, made their WWE return, capturing Raw's tag team titles in another ladder match as last-minute entries. The match served not only as the stage for Jeff and Matt's welcome return, but as a nice throwback to their WrestleMania ladder matches of yore, when they, Edge, Christian, and the Dudley Boys made themselves into stars. It had another benefit for Jeff, giving him his first ever WrestleMania win. 17 years after his first Mania match, Brother Nero, who was previously at 0-5 at the event, finally managed to snag a victory on the grandest stage of them all. Appropriately, each of his 5 prior Mania matches also involved Matt. 3 in which they teamed up, 1 in which they were Money in the Bank adversaries, and another where they attempted to delete one another. Number 5, craziest of them all. When it comes to raising the bar for insane stunts in professional wrestling, Jeff Hardy's been known to give a friendly wave to passing space shuttles as he sets said bar in place. Making a list of the 10 wildest things Jeff's ever done during the course of a wrestling match would prove difficult, because how do you pare it down to just 10? That's like ranking the 10 most refreshing glasses of water you've ever drank. But Jeff knows which risk was the craziest, at least from his first-hand perspective. In a 2013 interview, Hardy said the craziest stunt that always stands out most in his mind was when Edge speared him off the skyhook at WrestleMania 17. Given how many tables his body's reduced to splinters, sometimes in stacks of 2, 3, or 4, Jeff Hardy's most otherworldly bump was one in which lumber didn't break his fall, but the bare canvas from a great height did. Number 4, The Music Man. In 2003, Jeff Hardy formed his own band called Peroxide, a name that one assumes he wouldn't have any trouble trademarking, since who the hell else could have come up with that name? Over time, members have included Hardy's childhood friend and fellow future wrestler Shannon Moore, as well as TNA's in-house musician Dave Oliver. And when you're a professional wrestler who fronts their own band, there comes an obvious benefit. You can create your own theme music. Over the past decade and a half, Hardy has used no less than 5 different Peroxide songs for his entrance tune. These include Modest for his first TNA run in 2004, as well as Resurrected, Similar Creatures, Another Me, and In Willow's Way. That puts him 4 ahead of Fozzie's Chris Jericho, who to date has only used Judas from his own catalogue, though to be fair, it's a bit of a banger. Number 3, Ravages of Time. As noted, it's rather amazing that Hardy's still wrestling in his early 40s. When to watch him put his body on the line with such abandon in his early 20s, it didn't seem to project a long career for him. But Jeff still plugs away, as capable a performer as ever, albeit with a few changes. Time is and will forever be undefeated, and with the understandable wear and tear, Hardy's had to slightly alter his moveset. By his own admission in 2017, Hardy revealed he'd officially retired the 450 splash from his arsenal, after over-rotating and messing up his shoulder doing the spot. A year later, Hardy admitted he was also cutting down on doing the Swanton Bomb, saving it only for televised events, and possibly doing it at house shows if he's feeling up to it. But more often than not these days, you'll find Hardy doing the Twist of Fate or some other relatively conservative move for his finish, and it's not hard to understand why. Number 2, Conquering Many Mountains. Jeff Hardy's career in TNA sometimes gets sadly overlooked. But for those who enjoy great matches that they've never seen before, the charismatic Enigma had more than his share working there. Singles classics with Austin Aries and Kurt Angle, not to mention the 3-way ladder match including the Wolves and Team 3D, and also the criminally underrated Monsters Ball match at the 2005 Bound for Glory. When you hold 3 world titles for a company, the chances to shine are there. Hardy's first TNA World title win in 2010 allowed him to join a very short list. He's one of only 3 men to have been WWE Champion, World Heavyweight Champion, and TNA World Champion. Prior to him, only Kurt Angle had managed that trifecta, and the only man to do so since is Alberto Del Rio. Should Jeff somehow get his hands on the Universal title in one last glorious run, he'll have made unprecedented history. And I mean, hey, Goldberg held the belt at 50, so anything's possible. And number 1, Fountain of Youth. Through his many physical sacrifices, calling Jeff Hardy a workhorse would be a gross understatement. Thus, it makes sense that Hardy has held the Workhorse belt, known properly as the Intercontinental title, on 4 occasions between 2001 and 2008. His first time winning the belt was quite memorable, defeating Triple H on an episode of SmackDown shortly after WrestleMania 17. He lost it back to Helmsley just days later, but at least the fleeting moment was nice. It also afforded Jeff a place in history. That win on April 10th, 2001 made Jeff Hardy the youngest WWE Intercontinental Champion of all time, capturing the gold at 23 years, 7 months, and 10 days old. Randy Orton came pretty close to breaking the record in 2003, but was about a month older than what Hardy was at the time of his victory. As far as Jeff's body of work, general image, and career legacy goes, however, this championship tidbit won't be the only area in which he's incredibly difficult or equal to surpass.
Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments below. You can follow Cultaholic on Twitter at Cultaholic. You can check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you like what we do here at Cultaholic, you can check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/Cultaholic. And no matter what you do, don't ever forget to hit subscribe and join us.